Hi guys, welcome back. So if you're here, I want to believe that you are done with studying the passive reconnaissance and you're here for the active reconnaissance. But just before I progress, if you are just joining me, do well to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like, share and comment on my videos, and lastly to turn on the notification bell so that you don't get to miss any of my posts. And just so before I move further, this is a quick disclaimer. Every information you get on this channel is clearly for educational purpose, so you are liable for any malicious activities you carry out with this knowledge. With that being said, let's jump right into it. So we are moving straight into active reconnaissance. All right guys, welcome back to another exciting lesson on active reconnaissance. I want to believe that you enjoyed our last lesson, which was passive reconnaissance. All right, so to progress, we'll still be making reference to our vulnerable web lab, which is Reconnaissance. But this time around, I would have to introduce another lab to us, another vulnerable lab, which is metasploitable tool. I made reference to this particular lab in our subsequent video when I was teaching you guys advanced bash scripting. So just in case you don't have it in store, I did attach a link, a downloadable link to the video. Please check the video, check the comments, check the notes, the description. You should see a downloadable link where you can download your metasploitable tool. So we will be using metasploitable tool alongside our vulnerable web lab, which is Reconnaissance, to carry out this active reconnaissance. So for Reconnaissance, remember while using Wapalizer, we were able to see Wapalizer. Wapalizer was able to give us some juicy information, showing us the technological stack that this website runs on. All right, so the next thing we want to do is all we need to do here is to obtain the IP address. Let's obtain our IP address. Of course, this you can get from Shodan. So you can see Shodan is here giving you the IP address. Apologies. Let me see. I believe my screen should be large enough. Like it's really zoomed. This is almost 200. But okay. So back to our extension here on Shodan, you can see our target IP address. So we'll copy this IP address. We'll come back to our terminal. First thing we want to do is to perform an nmap scan. So what is nmap? I told you guys already what is nmap and what nmap is used for, but just in case you had missed that, so nmap is a tool, it's a command line tool that we use to scan for ports and services that is running in a network. So we'll just paste our target. So this is our target IP address as gotten from Shodan from nmap. All right, so without any switch, I will just hit enter this way just to show you in no time this result should be up. So running an nmap this way, all we will be expecting is just the ports and the services, because we are not doing much, we are not requesting for much information. So but just while our nmap scan is running, I'll just quickly open a new tab to show you something very quickly. Just make my screen a little bold. Okay, so the next thing I want to try is WhatWeb. So what is WhatWeb? So WhatWeb is a command line tool that we use to scan the technological stack of any website. It's similar to Wapalizer, but I consider this to be more active approach because you are querying the target directly. So WhatWeb is used to scan for the technological stack running on any website or any host. So hit enter. Let's see. All right, we just give it some time and our result. Okay, I think while this is coming up, okay, so we encountered an error here, for instance. All right, so all I need to do is not to panic, just go back to our browser. Let's try WhatWeb on the URL directly instead of the IP address now. So we'll do that again, repeat that again, WhatWeb. Now we paste the URL. Okay, and maybe I should just clear my screen first. Just clear this and do that again, WhatWeb, and I will paste the URL and hit enter. So this should give us the technological stack that is running on this particular website. So you can see very quickly, this is the IP, this is the website. You can see 200, this is the response code. You need to know what response code is all about. For a 200 means simple success rate. Simple success code achieved here, meaning our query was able to query the server, and the server actually brought out juicy information, brought out information. The server understood the request and brought out response, meaning our request was okay. You can see 403, 301 as the case may be. You just need to understand what those response code is all about. So going forward, you can see that identifies the Flash player, Adobe Flash player. You can see the country that this target is being hosted on, US. Also, you can see the email address. This particular email address was also visible when we did a when we used the Whois tool on the web. Also, you can see it was able to identify the server in Jinx and also the version 1.1.9.0. You can also see we got an IP address as well. Also, you can see it identified there's a particular link here. We don't know what's for, probably maybe download Flash player, but you can see it identifies the programming language. It's using a PHP, and also the version here, and also you can see it's running on Ubuntu OS, and you can see the title, home of Akunetics art, so on and so forth. So this is one way of finding a technological stack that is running on a target. So let's go back to our Nmap scan results. That should be up already. Okay, so you can see with Nmap we're able to identify the ports, the open ports. You can see port 80 is open, port 2000 is open, port 5060 is open, and you can see the services for port 80, of course, is a web server, so HTTP. Since it's not the secure, if it was secure, you will see HTTPS, and that should be on port 443. You can see for port 2000, this is a Cisco, SCCP, and SIP, but we couldn't get any version, right? That was because we just did a normal scan. So to further go a little deeper, let's tweak our Nmap scan result again. Let's go Nmap. I'll add some switch this time around. I use -pn. So for -pn is to disable host discovery. I taught you this during the bash lesson class. So let's scan for script. I'll just do S and C. As for scripts, I can do another -S and V for version, and I will paste our target. So you might want to paste the IP address. I beg your pardon. So let's go copy the IP address we got from Shodan. Let's come back to the target. So using Shodan, I will quickly copy this IP address. Copy the IP address, and I'll come back to Nmap, and I will just paste this. Okay, so I'll paste that, and I will initiate command. So what we want to achieve here, this is an Nmap scan. -pn switch here, disable host discovery. -sc is for script to scan this particular target if there's any script that was written that could be informational, and also for the versions. So it's not just about bringing out the ports now, it will bring out the ports and the services running there, and also the versions of those particular services, because with the versions, when we know the version, it will help us when we are doing vulnerability analysis, because that's where we'll be able to analyze the information gotten to rank them based on their severities to know if they are vulnerable, and if they are vulnerable, we'll try to see how vulnerable they is. Of course, that's where we get to use military framework and the likes. But not to worry, since it's already it's a series, so from information gathering we'll move straight to Reconnaissance, to vulnerability analysis, where you get to analyze all your vulnerabilities, all your findings, and then we progress to the other phase of the pen test methodology. So I will just wait for this guy to come up so you see our results. Remember, all what we are doing here is information gathering, but most cases, sometimes when you are performing an Nmap scan, you might be hitting errors, like the result might come up, tell you that our host is unreachable, or all the ports are filtered. when you start getting results like this, you should know one thing: probably there's a firewall that is blocking your scans. So all you could do is to learn about uh, firewall evasion. How do you evade firewalls? So I think that I will make that a complete lesson, how to evade firewalls, because there are more than like 10 steps and different methods of evading firewalls. So I will make a lesson for that separate, and I will show you guys how you can evade firewalls, the different techniques you can use to bypass WAF. So that being said, we'll just quickly wait for our scan result to be up. But while we are waiting for this result to be up, next thing we want to do is to look up for subdirectories. By subdirectories, I mean, take for instance our target, which is test.php.vulnerableweb.com. There might be other subdirectories. Example: every website you see have a landing page. By landing page, I mean the admin portal where the owner of the site logs in to make changes and modifications to the site. So sites like that, directories like that, are not really exposed to you. So you can just, assuming you come into the site now, for instance, and you just see log into the admin portal, and they will give you you just see the icon here for you to just click and access the admin page where you put your password and username. No, it's not done like that. Sometimes some developers completely hide it. Sometimes they put it in a particular directory that makes it difficult for an attacker to guess. So you don't guess subdirectories. By subdirectories, let me quickly explain what I'm trying to say. Taking our target, for instance, test.php.vulnerableweb.com, which is our target. Let me come back to our terminal. I think our nmap scan result is still processing. It's taking time because of the information we want to obtain here. So I'll just quickly open a new tab. So okay, so I'll just clear this so I can explain better. I think I need to teach us something very quickly before I progress. So just to add to your arsenal, so you know, there's something called alias, right? So alias is short for commands. You can use alias to initiate different commands. It's like calling a function. Let me explain. Example: you realize that I just typed clear, for instance, but how about instead of typing clear, I can just make a particular alphabet to represent clear, so that when I just touch that particular alphabet and hit enter, it clears off, it does the work of clear. Like, you can assign any variables to a particular letter or number, as the case may be. So that's what aliasing does for you. You can use alias. You can use example: instead of typing this IP address, or if I was typing a repeated IP address 192.16, for instance, .2.2, I'm just citing. If we have an IP address like this, and you know that in the course of this particular exploitation we will need to be entering this IP over and over again, and it takes time, so you can just alias this particular IP address, so that whenever you just give a particular function, like you're trying to say, I want this particular alphabet to replace this IP address, meaning each time I use example H or G, for instance, let G represent this IP address. So those are alias, for instance. So let's do example. Let me use the popular one we've been using, alias. Let's C, for instance, equals to clear, for instance. You know what the clear command does? If we have a bulk information on our terminal, we can just type the clear command and hit enter. It will erase everything we have on the terminal, giving us a blank work bench. But we can use alias this way to say, let's see equals to clear. So instead of me getting to type clear always, instead of me getting to type clear, I'm just typing a random command here. So instead of me getting to type example clear now to wipe, instead of me getting to type clear now to wipe this, right? All I need to do is just to press C, just alphabet C, and I hit enter, and you can see everything goes away. And you can see all I need to do here is just type C like this, small letter, see, and once I hit enter, you can see that's clear. So that's what alias does for you, right? So you can use alias as well to call even IP address, as the case may be. Don't worry, when we get into exploitation proper, we'll be making use of alias much frequent, so you get to learn more. So but quickly before I go, let me see if our scan result is up before I show you what I wanted to show you. Okay, so you can see our nmap scan result is up, and for the web server it was able to identify the version of that particular server. You can see in Jinx 1.19.0, but again for the Cisco SCCP it couldn't find any version, and also for the port 5060 no version here. But remember, for this particular Nginx server, the informations we got here, we already found it in WhatWeb and Wapalizer, so there's not much actually running on that particular host, which is our target. That's why we will be using a different lab, which is Metasploitable 2, to perform this active reconnaissance. I can quickly return to our terminal where I wanted to show you what I wanted to show you. All right, so let's move over to subdirectory brute forcing for subdirectory. So let's take, for instance, this is our target, right? You might have an admin portal that can be admin dash login, for instance, admin dash login. This can be a subdirectory that will take you into the admin portal. Alright, but again, you can't start guessing all this, and there are lots of information hidden on the website that you can't start guessing, because there are lots of things. Remember, everything we are doing here is recon. We are gathering information about our target to know how best to exploit them. The home page might not be vulnerable, but other subsequent pages, other subdirectories might be vulnerable. You might see something that might interest you there. So that's why directory brute forcing is a good thing to always try when carrying out information gathering. So, but I won't be doing that with this our target Reconnaissance, because there's not much information to see. But let's launch our Metasploitable 2. I have it started here, so my Metasploitable should be up here. Okay, so it's already started. Permit me, I've tried to really make this bold more than this for the Metasploitable, but I can't get it to be bold. Alright, so all we need here is our IP address, but again, I taught you how to get your IP address from your Kali Linux direct, as long as the Metasploitable is already started, right? So you can just check for all the active hosts on your local network. So let's go back to our to our Kali terminal and do a local host discovery. Alright, so we'll just do a net discover here. Net discover. Let's do sudo net discover. Sudo net discover. So this will password. This will in no time bring out all the active hosts or the live hosts on our local network. So let's see while it's still coming up. The IP address of our Metasploitable is 192.168.50.130. So let's go back to our Kali terminal. Okay, so very quickly you can see the result is up. I'll just cancel this. I told you earlier on, don't pay attention to the .1, the .2. Always pay attention to the subsequent ones that follow. So this is our target here for our Metasploitable, 192.168.50.130. So this is our target. So I will just copy this, and I can just clear this, for instance. So we want to perform active recon on this particular target. So I will just paste the IP address. So let's just do an nmap scan on that. Let's just do an nmap on that particular target. I will paste the target without any switch. So this should give us, all right, so you can see we have lots of juicy ports open here and services running. So port 80 is open, meaning that you can reach this online. You can see port 53 for the domain DNS. So let's just check that particular IP address on the internet. Let's check it. Let's load it on our browser. Let's see what is. Open a new tab here, and we'll paste. So very quickly you can see this is the information here. Metasploitable 2, warning never expose this VM to an untrusted network. So this is all what we have on the home page. All right, so let's go back to our terminal. So with Nmap, we were able to identify juicy ports here, but again, we didn't request for the services, the versions rather, because the versions is very important when doing exploitation, because you need to know if that version is outdated, what is the vulnerabilities attached to it due to the fact that it's already outdated, and so on and so forth. So all you can do is just to tweak your command again, as I earlier taught you. You can do an nmap scan and add your switch. You can do -pn disable host discovery, or you can leave it, and you can do all -s and c for script dash. You have another -s and v for version. But remember, when I was doing bash scripting lesson, I summed this together this way. All right, meaning I'm using just one s here to work for both, right? So this particular switch here will still scan for scripts and scan for the versions, right? So you can add other syntax, other switches. Remember I told you to look up nmap cheat sheet on our last previous lesson while I was teaching you guys on bash scripting. So you learn about switch. So just hit enter, and this might take a little time because of the kind of information we want it to bring up. And you see there were lots of ports that were open, so meaning for each of those ports we are expecting to see any script written on that port, versions, as the case may be. So I while this is running, I will quickly open a new tab. And what I want to show us here is just clear this was the initial. So again, I taught you alias, so we can use alias here. Let's just say alias, let's see, equals clear, for instance, and we hit enter. And once I press C and hit enter, that goes off. So each time I'm working on this terminal, I don't need to be typing clear again. So I want to show us subdirectories, how to put for subdirectories. So now I think our nmap scan result is up now. Let's see. Yes, it's up. So let me quickly explain. Let's see through the results. So for port 21, which is an FTP, which is basically is for file transfer, you can see the version VSFTPD 2.3.4. This is a juicy information already, because you might, when we are doing vulnerability analysis, you get to understand, because while this information is very important, because we need to check if this version is vulnerable or not. But when we get to vulnerability analysis, you understand more. All right, so you move again, you can see, let's see, and also you can see it's showing us that anonymous FTP login is allowed. I made a reference to something like this right in the last lesson. When you see FTP anonymous login allowed, meaning any user can log in into this particular port via this port without valid credential. All you need is just type in anonymous and anonymous, anon as your username and anon as your password, and you get access into that. And with that kind of access, stay tuned to know what you can do with all that. All right, so you see port 22 is open SSH for securely remotely accessing a network. You can see port 23 is a telnet, another local, or should I say an outdated way of getting, unsecure way of getting remote access into a network. SMTP for mail transfer protocol. Let's see which other information you can see, and you can see it's coming out to the Linux, the versions. You can see for SSH for port 22, you can see the open version 4.7. You can also check out if the version is vulnerable and to what. You can see for the port 53, the domain, you can see the versions here, what we have there, port 80, of course, as usual. You can see Apache web server, and you can see the version 2.2.8. like that. So all this information is something that you want to take into cognizance. You need to document this so that when you are doing vulnerability analysis, you start checking if these versions are vulnerable, and vulnerable to what, and to what extent can you go performing exploitation on this. So let's come down. You can see other ports that are open here. For port 111 RPC bind, you need to know what you do with all these ports. Port 139, which is for NetBIOS, you can see the work group. It identifies Samba, and 445 SMB again. You can see ports port 513 login. So there are lots of information. Pro FTPD port 2121 here. My SQL is also running here, and see the version here. All these things is meaningful information that we will need when we want to exploit these particular ports, because for pen test we need to check all the ports, because you can't just limit your pen test to just a particular port. No, it's not done like that, because you need to know ports that are based for Active Directories, ports that are based for network, and ports that are made for other functions like that. So each of these ports have their vulnerabilities and to what extent you can go exploiting them. Some will give you remote code execution access and the likes, and while some will not give you remote code access, all you can be able to do with that particular port is to enable you upload your shell. And by shell, once you upload your shell, if it's a remote code shell, once you upload that shell, it gives you access, because once you run that shell there, it can open up a terminal for you where you gain access into that particular network. So there are lots of ways, right? So you can see it's sorted for password. Let me see column flag on my SQL. You can see we don't know what this is all about, but again, let's look at, there's some informations, but that's not my big area of focus now. This is just a recon stage. So for port 8009, you can see the service AJP30. We don't know what that means, but the version here, you can see Apache JServe. You can see the protocol. So all these are something we need to take note of, so that when doing vulnerability analysis, you can see another Apache Tomcat and the version here running on port 8180. So these are all the informations. You can go down and the list is endless, right? So all these informations is what we gather together, and then we move to our vulnerability analysis stage. But before we move, I'd like to show you something which is directory brute forcing, as I was trying to explain earlier. So for subdirectories, why is it important? Because for a web server, for instance, for this metasploitable, there should be a landing page. That's my point now. There should be a landing page and other subdirectories which we can start guessing. Example, let's say robots.txt, which is a popular one. Robots.txt, this reveals the sitemap. Let's see if it's enabled here. So you can see it's not enabled here, not found. You can see it is not found. So but you can start guessing, or let's say admin-login, which are common. You can just say admin/admin, admin or admin-login, for instance. Let's see if, all right, still 404 not found. So but we can start guessing like this. So that's why we need to perform a brute force for subdirectory to see all the attached subdirectories that are not exposed to us now. So I'll come back to my terminal. But to perform brute force, of course, you need a word list. Even though there are default word list that comes with some of these tools, example by default, example tools like deb. So deb is a tool that we use to perform directory brute forcing for subdirectories. If you can use deb this way without adding a word list, but it will just route to the default. It will use the default word list. Let me show you what I mean. So this is our target now for the metasploitable tool. I can just come back. So use our IP address. I'll copy this. So we need to see what is after this IP address, those subdirectories. So we'll just come back here and I will enter the target. I will paste our target this way. So without specifying any word list, deb will automatically use its default word list. By word list, you should know what word list means by now. So word lists are sets of words which could be alphabet, which could be numeric or alphanumeric, as the case may be, based on what and depending on what functions you want to use them for. But if you don't have a word list, Kali Linux comes pre-installed with word list, but you can still download yours. So to locate word list, you can just go to the cd user share, cd user share word list, for instance. So this directory, you can see this is a part. Now we are in the user directory, in the share directory. Inside the user directory we came to the share, inside the share we came to the word list directory. So let's do an ls here. So everything you are seeing here are all directories containing sets of word list. So what are word lists? I've done an explanation on what word list is all about. So let's open this directory, for instance the deb directory. Let's see, just do cd deb. So inside the deb directory, what do we have? I'll just do an ls here. So you can see we have big.txt, catala.txt, common.txt. So all these are word lists, but you need to know what you want to achieve, because there are lots of word lists, right? So let's open example this common.txt. Let's see the kind of files we have inside. So because if you want to perform a password brute forcing, there are word lists. There are certain kinds of word lists you should use depending on what and again the set of the password you want to brute force for. So you need to understand. So let's just do cat. Let's just cat that common.txt, for instance. Common.txt. Let's see what we have. All right, so we have, these are all the informations inside here. You can see it has some WP. Is like for a site using a WordPress. It's trying to do for WordPress -config, WordPress content, and so on and so forth. So these are subdirectories that you can just start guessing. So but let's go up. Let me go get to the top, so I can just start explaining. So you can see it will try bash_history. Of course, this directory now, this particular kinds of directory or file path will always bring out the histories, the commands that have been entered before, basically. So you're just trying to try our target slash this, our target slash catch slash config. It will go through all the set of word lists to check if any of them exist on that particular website, if any of this directory is there. So when we have some of these directories open there, it exposes more information, right? It gives us more attack surface, right? So I will just do, I can just clear this, for instance. Let's see. All right, so all I need to do, let me return back to our home. Let's do cd slash home. Let me fall into the Kali directory. Let's just drop into the Kali directory, and we are here now. So I'll just perform our scans here. All right, so again, if I use deb like this and I paste our target, sure, this is our target. Yes, I want to believe so. Let me see. 192, 168, 50, 130. 192, 168, 50, 130. Absolutely. So we can just use this way as our target, and I will hit enter. Remember now, I'm not specifying any word list, so but it will reuse its default word list. So let's hit enter. So very quickly the scans is up. It's going through using the default word list. So you can see I will explain these results in a matter of seconds. Now it's still scanning, it's still performing its brute force. So once the brute force is done, it will terminate. So you can see it tried 32,284 words and found 56. You can see. So let's see the 56 it found. That's 56 subdirectories. So let's go to the top now. So let me explain. So this is the deb started, and it's used, you can see it selected a default word list for itself, which is common.txt. You can see, so this is what it used by default. It used its own default, so but you can specify. All right, so let's scroll down. So scanning the URL. All right, so you can see for directory, for that, you know what directory means? Directory means like a folder that has other folders inside, right? So for directories, it was able to identify, you can see slash, you can see forward slash. This is the first, this is our target, http 192.168.50.130. you can see slash dav, right? So if we go and put slash dav on our target now on our browser, we should be able to see a particular directory there. We can just test it now. Let's see. This is our target. I'll just add slash dav. Let's see what is there. So you can see parent directory. So you can see by guesswork, we can't even try guessing this. So you can see parent directory. So if I click OK now, you can see it still come back here. So again, let's come back to our terminal. So let's see which other informations it got. Dash index, and take note of your response code. When you see 200, it means it's successful. If you see other codes, it might warrant to something else. You just need to understand response code, right? So let's come down. You can see it identifies php-info as a subdirectory here. If we go to our terminal, our target, you can see this. You can see this, it identifies this particular directory. It identifies another directory, php-info.ph here. You can see php my admin. This is something juicy now. So let's copy this part. Let me show you something. Let's copy selection, come back to our browser. Alright, so let's paste that part, / and paste this php my admin, and we'll hit enter. So wow, you can see now we have a login page here, right? Now we can perform full brute force on this particular page now to get the login credentials, possible login credentials, and also we can also see the technological stack on this particular page to see the API that are running here. Of course, I showed you how to do that with your plugins here as Wapalizer. You can also see PHP my admin, database management, and you can see every other thing, the web server, Apache web server, programming like my SQL database is here. So these are some of the things you need to know, right? This alone opens up another attack surface for this particular target, but these are something that was not exposed. All we knew was just the home page. So this is one advantage of directory brute forcing, subdirectory brute forcing. So let's go back to our terminal. Let's analyze. You can see for this guy here now, you can see server status for a particular directory called server status. You can see the code here, the response code here, 403. 403 means forbidden. Forbidden means it made the request to the server, but the server ignored, or the server rejected that particular request, probably because we don't have permission. So that's 403 for you, response code. You can see, let's go down now, entering directory. Now this particular tool, as you can see, other subdirectories, test, tweaky. Now entering the directory, now it went further to enumerate into each of these directories that it has found here. Like by going deep now means it opens each of those directories and perform another brute force, right, to see what's inside those directories. Example, it started with the first one, which is, see this one now, php my admin, which was one of the juicy one we found. Inside this, it was able to identify, you can see php my admin, you can see /calendar again, meaning inside this there is another path again leading somewhere, right? And with the 200 code here, response code, you can see the size of what is inside here. You can decide to go and look it up. So we can just copy this like this. I can just copy this like this. This is calendar. I don't think there's anything inside here, but let's see. I can open link directly, or let's just copy the link address, come back to our terminal here. Let me just open another tab here, and I'll just paste and go. Okay, it still come back to this calendar. You can see the calendar, it still brought us back to this particular page. So there's nothing here really apart from what we've seen before. Alright, so you can see change logs, another subdirectories it found. It's another part it discovered under the php my admin, and you can see contribution, docs, error, export, favicon.ico, import, index. All these are subdirectories under this particular my first directory it found. Alright, so let's progress further. So we don't waste time. So all these are things you can look up for, right? So again, it enters another directory again, which is the Tweaky directory. Tweaky was one of the first directory we found, and it went further to search, enumerate after inside this directory what they did find. You can see tweaky/data. So meaning inside this Tweaky, there's another directory here, another part called data that houses more information. But you can see that it's carrying a 403 forbidden, which is forbidden. So meaning if you go there, you will just see we hate this. But again, even 403 can be juicy because of the information, because of the the APIs that are running on that particular page, even though it might be showing you error like this 403, but still look up the technological stack to see if there are any plugins or vulnerable API that was there. Now let's progress inside the Twiki. We have details here. You can see another information. It went again to other entering other directories to find more information. So all these and many more is what you can do with subdirectory brute forcing, right? So again, let me show you another tool we can use. Let me just clear this. For instance, another tool we can use is Debuster. So Debuster is similar to Deb. This is Debuster. But for Debuster now, I will specify my syntax -u for URL. But if you don't know how to use it, just do -h and you hit enter. It should give you a list here of the commands and how to use them. So you can see usage. Debuster URL -u for the URL, and example and options. If you have any switcher that you want to add word list to use, you can see -l now to impute any word list, and -v for verbosity, -p, capital R, so just to read about it. And now let me quickly use Debuster. So I will just clear this and I will just type Debuster, and we'll specify our URL -u, and I will paste our target. I might want to clear this guy now. Let me still leave it on our target. Okay, and what next? I might want to specify my word list now, for instance. And to use word list, it was -l switch. Remember when we saw it there? And I'll specify the path to my word list. So I want to use, let's say, user. Let's go to our user share word list. If you don't know where to go from here, from anywhere, just hold your tab twice, just double tap it twice. It will give you a list of what is after where you are currently, and you can see, let's go into Deb. So I will just type Deb now. Now inside Deb, where do I want to go? I don't know where to go. I'll just tap tab again. That will quickly open the Deb for us. I will just hit enter here. So let me do my tab here. So you can see common.txt. Let's use common.txt, so I can type it now. I can use common.txt, for instance, and I will hit enter. Okay, so I think it's trying to load. Let me see. Target URL, work method, use get request, auto switch, start. I'll just click on start. Let me see. Okay, so you can see very quickly on our command line it has started, but every tool has its own way and method of populating information. So it's a little different from Deb. So it's still on, but let's go up. You can see the informations it got. It didn't really arrange the reports, the results the way Deb did arrange it. You can see directory, just a directory found. Let's see, .htt access. This is a 403 for this particular. It tried this. It got a 403. It tried .http. It's using our word list now to go through each of our word list and giving us the result. 403 means forbidden. I told you before. 200 means simple success recorded, meaning this guy actually, the server understood this and returned a response to us, meaning we can check this and also this, and you can see 403, 403, 403, 200 simple success, lots of 403 here. So you can see it just joined everything. So it found a particular path, Twiki/bin view main home web home 200. Remember, our target will always come before the slash. Take note. So it's just brute forcing what is after the target. So I might have to stop this. So it's just for you to know what you want to achieve. So I will be showing you another tool. Is called the FOF tool. It's also used for fusing. So if you've not used it before, you can do the -h menu to go to the help menu to see what you can do with these tools. So you can see these are an example how you can use these particular tools here. So we have example here. You can see how you can use this tool here. So this is the example, and also you can use this to fuse for headers and so on and so forth. So you can see the switches here, -w for word list, and so on and so forth. So you can look this up on your own. So in order for we not to waste time, I will just jump right into it. Just clear this and I will start. So just do f and I'll specify the -u for URL, and I will enter our target. We'll just quickly paste our target. Alright, and we'll specify the part where we want to fuse. This is where we want to fuse. For instance, we want to fuse the part directly after our URL, and the next thing I'll specify is the word list we want to use. So I'll specify the path to the word list, which is the user share word lists. And again, if you don't know where to go, I taught you before. Now just hit your double tab twice. Alright, so let's navigate into the dev directory. Double tab again, double tab, and let's use common.txt for instance. So big.txt. No, I don't want to use big. We'll just use common.txt, common.txt word list specified, and I will use a column here, and I will see type our fuse here again. Alright, so we hit enter, and very quickly it has commenced with the brute forcing. So it seems my screen is a little too big now. We just zoom in a bit. Still coming out, so just zoom in a bit. Okay. Alright, so also I can analyze this. So you can see this started as a get request. This is the part where we want to fuse. We want to fuse directly immediately after our URL. So, and we are using the word list. You can see the word list here, common.txt. So this will replace this, right? So every information we have inside this common.txt will be tried in this particular field here. And let's come down. So you can see the response status codes that it found 200, 299301. I taught you all to go read up about response code. So let's analyze the result. So it tried for .ht access and hit a 403 error message here, and let's go 403. It tried .hta, hit a 403, and let's continue. Let me see where is a 301 here. Let's see. You see, so okay, we have a simple success code recorded here. This for /index here. Let's see. You see, unlike okay, you can see it identifies this directory Twiki, and the error, you can see the response code, it's still got a 301 response, and 403 for status server, and PHP info, we got a 200 response code here. But how about you can see the result is not like the dep. The dep actually segmented each of these results for us, brought out the result for the directory, and also went deep to bring out that of the subdirectories, and you can see how it streamlined those informations for us. Okay, but now this result I'm getting here are just too bulky. 403. Okay, let's just filter out the 403 status code from this. So to do that, we just quickly permit me to clear this, for instance. So what I'm trying to do now is just to get only information tailored to 200 response code, and I will specify a switch for -fc, which is trying to say fuse now this particular response or error code. So this is how the switch should be, and we hit enter. Alright, so that should commence now. So you can see, for let's analyze the header first. So this is a get request, and you can see
response status, I'm telling it to fuse out, don't include it. You can see the filter here, filter out 403. You can add other error codes that you want it to fuse out, right? So if you come down now, you can see the result is a little bit more looking like it now. So you can see the simple success code recorded here, 200 for DAV, and the likes, 301 there, 200 index, PHP my admin, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the subdirectories it's found as well. So I want to believe this was very resourceful for you. It's not far-fetched from everything we've been learning so far, so I want to believe this was more than helpful. To see you all in my next video.
Alright, so with that being said, we've come to the end of today's lesson. If you're just joining me, please do well to hit the like button, and of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you all in my next video.